last few games, I know we were talking, especially after the last one, about just being able to hold that performances for 90 minutes, especially that first half. But in a way, how do you bottle that first 45 minutes against Orlando, and kind of use that uh, for Seattle?
Yeah, I think we took some of the things that we accomplished in the previous game to Orlando and against San Diego, in both identifying some of the partnerships that were working well in that game, um, and trying to add to gaining more control of the game. And there were large stretches of both games, in particular this last game in the first half, where we were able to maintain control with the ball. And we haven't always been able to say that over the course of this season. So we've wanted to build on that, and we're going to need to build on that to become a more efficient team with the ball, but also use the ball in a way to help us on the defensive side, because it is a fact that we need to become better defensively, but we also need to maintain possession a little bit more so we're not defending as much.
In those moments, I think of it kind of a little crosstown comparison, but like a team like the Current, when they play, they seem to be able to control the game without the ball as well. How do you guys find ways to control and manage what happens in those moments where you don't have the ball?
Yeah, I think for large stretches of this last game, we were without the ball, particularly even in the first half. There were times that I felt we were in complete control of the game without the ball. It's a matter of limiting the spaces that they have to play, and especially identifying the areas where they're particularly dangerous. And so I think in the last two games, the strategy going into the game and what we expected from the opponent kind of played out the way that we thought. What did us in, I think, in this last game was our inability to not just sustain possession of the ball, but advance up the field in the second half. And so, even when you look at the second goal, we failed to advance up the field. We got stuck on the sidelines, a turnover, and now that's really how the game turned in Orlando's favor. So, at the end of the day, it is being in control without the ball at times, and I think we've shown stretches this season where that can be the case. But I think having the ball a little bit more is something that we'd really like to try to pursue.
I feel like Mason brought an interesting dynamic, getting in behind a lot more and creating some chances that way. What did you see from him?
Exactly that. And not just that. It's not just him receiving and now being a part of that first goal. It's more stretching the field, as you say, and giving the ability for us to sustain possession a little bit easier through the midfield. So he did a great job of his movements off the ball, and it's a lot of work, a lot of hard work that it takes to not just run off the ball, but to keep doing it, even though you're not always being the receiver. And so he did that, which gave opportunities for other players through the midfield to feel more comfortable on the ball, give them more time, and for that matter, for us to sustain more possession.
And I guess as you guys look at these next 8 games, what are some things you wanna learn about these guys? There's a lot that could change in the offseason. What are you hoping to learn about these guys?
Well, I think, and we've looked at it from game to game, how the ability for these guys to bounce back. And when you look at it over the course of a 90-minute game, we've seen time and time again the ability to bounce back. And so we're in a moment right now in the season where every moment is critical. And so for the guys to respond and for the club to respond in this moment, in a way that makes everyone feel proud, um, and for us to achieve something. And I think that's the ultimate objective, that we achieve something. And at the end of the day, I think we all want to be inspired by something. And I think we have over the course of this season for the ability of these guys to come back time and time again. And I would expect us moving forward, no matter what the situation is, we will respond and we will show up and we will inspire.
Just injury update. I mean, you said Manu and Tommy potentially back in training this week?
Tommy's in training as of today. Manu is not.
Okay.
We're going to see that day to day. I would expect Tommy to, and he's a little bit behind in his fitness, but he's working every day now fully with the group.
And then Joaquin was the other one, I think, is
Yeah,
he still the
he
hamstring.
won't be on the field today. We expect by the end of the week he'll be close.
And then Logan.
Logan's back.
I know results the last couple of weeks haven't gone your guys' way, but there's been some stretches in games against some really good teams where you guys have been on the front foot and kind of and really in control of the game. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, is that a good sign for a young group that is, still probably looking at building years ahead with each other?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it's definitely a good sign. Um, doesn't make it, I guess, any easier or make you feel that much better, at least as a player. We see these results and it hurts us, and it bothers us. Uh, with that said, I mean, we're having moments like the first 45 against Orlando this past weekend where I think that was probably up there with as good as we've looked all year. Um, but clearly there's still just some pieces missing that we're doing everything we can to figure out.
Kerry mentioned that in the post game about just being able to go the full 90, maybe especially at that level. I mean, what I don't know from your perspective, it's a little different, but what does it take to go the full 90 at that mentality and at that pace all the way through?
Yeah. We always say moments change games. Uh, it's not possession that wins games. It's not number of shots that wins games. It's all of those things might contribute to helping you win a game, but at the end of the day, it could be one 10-second stretch that wins or loses you a game, and that's just the reality of sport. So we just need to, I guess, put that detail back to the forefront of our mind that each moment matters, every second, every touch, and it's a balance between putting, I guess, too much pressure on maybe seemingly insignificant plays, while also recognizing that every roll of the ball is having a direct impact on the result.
You get a guy like Robbie back on the back line the last couple of games. Just what difference does he bring? Especially, he just seems so active in getting forward and harrying whatever attacker is kind of in that central space.
Yeah, no, I love Robbie. I think all year he's been showing his quality. He's lively, just like you said. He's constantly moving, whether we're in possession or defending. He's quick. He's high energy. He's a great defender, and then he's also good on the ball. He has these driving runs that you know are sometimes the easiest way for us to break that initial line. So yeah, he's definitely contributing his bit already. Just coming back from a medium length injury, so I'm happy for him that he's back in the lineup, and happy for the team because we all enjoy playing with him.
As someone who's a vocal leader on this team, in those moments of frustration, how do you kind of show your frustration, but also try and encourage guys?
Yeah, I think we're all figuring that out because we're all in the same boat. We're all frustrated. Frustrated with ourselves, frustrated with our teammates, frustrated with the situation. That's a natural response to where we're at. And I think all of us recognize that. So being kind of all in that same boat together, in a way makes that bit a little easier because we all get it. Sometimes, players are going to have goes at each other, and it's not personal. It's just that we all care. Guys will have goes at me, and that's okay. Like I want them to, because I know they care as well. But yeah, we for the most part, we're trying to keep it positive, while also being constructive and also not overlooking things that do need to be addressed. That's just the real world, and I hope everyone in this building is okay with that.
And with 8 games left, outside of making the playoffs, what kinds of things are you guys really trying to work on the remainder of the season?
Yeah, you know, like you said, playoffs is obviously the goal, and like that's we still, I personally haven't given up on that, and we've seen crazy things in this league, and we see it every single year. That teams always crawl back and find a way on decision day. So I haven't given up. I haven't lost hope, and I don't think anyone else has, and I sure hope they haven't. Um, but with that even aside, it's just a matter of laying the foundation for the coming season next year, and going into off season with some more positives. People the past year or two have been throwing around this term rebuild, uh, which is fine, and that's where we are. But that's all the more reason to say, okay, playoffs aside, we need to keep building because we're building for something better. So the next 8 games is no different. That we need to keep progressing, on and off the field.
And I guess you individually, what are some things that you're kind of focusing on?
If I'm constantly focusing on my development, good game, bad game. I'm back in here looking at film, watching film, just analyzing every touch of the ball, even actions. The ball's nowhere near me. What am I doing when the ball's 30, 40 yards away? What am I doing when the ball's at half field and it turns over quickly? Where are my starting spots? Because all of that leads to ultimately the decisions I make on the field. So that's a big area of focus right now. But I'm just working on making sure I'm constantly in the right spots, even when the ball's 50, 60 yards up the field.